Oh, hi. Welcome to Portland. Right now, I am walking over to the Oregon Convention Center on the Telecom Bridge, the recently built pedestrian bridge. And it's about 10:30 in the morning right now. It's sunny, wonderful, 67 degrees. And I am walking to go play some Gym Leader Challenge at the Portland Regionals happening today. It's Saturday. And since about 8:30, a bunch of players have been playing standard, competing for a bunch of money. But I'm not about that. I want to play some Gym Leader Challenge. That way.
I arrive at the convention center, pick up my spectator band, and enter the tournament hall. This is my second time attending a regionals event in Portland, and it's still overwhelming. There were thousands of people of all different ages and persuasions, all there to play Pokemon. After selling off some of my cards and grabbing some Japanese Glory of Team Rocket packs to share with my opponents, I immediately go to the side events tables to register for the main GLC tournament happening that day. I find our local group of Gym Leader Challenge players just finishing up an on-demand GLC side event pod while waiting for the main event to start. I borrow some of the remaining cards I need for my deck from Corey, who shows off some of his sweet vendor pickups for his fire deck that he's been working on. And Landon and I then run some test games to give me a chance to actually use the deck and to help Landon figure out his Psychic deck's water matchup a little bit better. I love playing the dragon and fighting types, but I hadn't really been feeling great about either type going into the weekend. And maybe it was from looking at the Willamette River, or maybe just an appreciation for how powerful Whale Lord is. But I ended up deciding to go with Water. For me, Water just has some of the strongest abilities, trainer cards, and attackers in the format right now. Drizzile Inteleon is an absolutely broken support engine when you can reset it with Scoop Up Net, and I actually think Kyogre is completely busted as a basic attacker. However, it was during these test games that we realized that the Special Waves Whale Lord I was running has a pretty glaring weakness to Mimikyu, which can easily fulfill the special energy requirement and one-shot Whale Lord for a return KO. But it can't do the same to the Journey Together Whale Lord. And I end up swapping it along with cutting Recycle Energy and Wash Energy for 2 basic Water Energy instead, as well as cutting Teammates for Rosa. Rosa can find pretty much anything else in the deck and gives a bonus 3rd basic energy card, which Water always wants more of, so it becomes sort of a second copy of Irida to grab Blastoise Rare Candy plus a Water Energy. I guess I should mention here why I decided to play the Stoice over Baxcalibur. I actually just really like that there was a Squirtle that has 1 retreat and is immune to bench damage, as opposed to Frigibax, where if you want 1 retreat, it can be sniped pretty easily by a Raging Bolt, and if you want 70 HP, you have to go with 2 retreat, which makes it a lot harder to retreat into Hisuian Basculin. About an hour after arriving at the event, the GLC side events head judge arrives and escorts us to the area of the tournament hall where the main event for GLC for Saturday will be played. We ended up having 18 players for the tournament, which, while still pretty good, was a lot lower of a turnout than I was hoping for. Based on what I could tell, there were 5 water decks, 3 psychic decks, 3 darkness decks, 2 colorless decks, 2 fire decks, 1 lightning deck, and 1 fighting deck, with the 18th deck unknown. But it turns out that Sunday would have been a much better day for GLC, as there were 61 players who turned out for that tournament. But unfortunately, I was only able to make it on Saturday, so I made the most of what I was able to do. And for those interested in the breakdown of the larger tournament on Sunday, Corey was able to get the stats for me, and out of 61 decks, there were 9 water, 9 psychic, 9 dragon, 9 colorless, 5 fighting, 4 darkness, 4 lightning, 4 metal, 4 fire, 3 grass, and 1 fairy player, who I will link their deck list that they posted on Twitter, as they apparently were able to go 2-1 out of 3 rounds. So I had planned to showcase a bunch of games from the event in this video, but I'm going to be featuring those games in future videos so I don't delay this video any further, as each game does add a ton of editing time to these. So look forward to seeing more gameplay videos from the tournament. We played 3 rounds for the main scheduled side event that day, and my first game was a mirror match against a Baxcalibur Hydro Pump deck. And I was able to set up my Blastoise fairly quickly and took 4 prizes with Kyogre, until eventually my opponent was able to stop me from getting those energy back onto the Kyogre with Deluge with a Hex Maniac. But by then, I had a Wailord ready to go on the bench and an escape rope, and I took the last 2 prizes with the Wailord. My opponent, Colby, was just getting into the format and still learning his deck, and he was a great sport, and we had a lot of fun, and he pulled a Regirock EX from one of my Glory of Team Rocket packs.
Hey, thank you. What was your name?
Colby.
Nice to meet you, Colby.
Nice to meet you.
In round 2, I played against Milton, who was playing a Psychic deck with Monkey Dory, very similar to the deck I had playtested against with Landon just before the tournament. Unfortunately, I was using my camera trying to record another game that round, so I don't have footage from this game, but I do remember that Milton was able to take an early KO on my Drizzile with a Galarian Articuno. But I was then able to respond with Kyogre and Hex Maniac and take 2 prizes on the Kirlia and then the Articuno, while the Galarian Articuno was stuck in the active spot with no energy. And then was able to tank a hit with my Wishy-Washy from his Lux-caped Iron Boulder after it had knocked out my Kyogre. And that Iron Boulder then gave up 2 prizes after I hit it twice, as it was unable to retreat, and I was then able to power up a Wailord to finish the game from there, which Milton was unable to answer with his Mimikyu, as we mentioned, due to the Hydro Pump clause being uncopyable by attackers like Mimikyu. Milton politely declined to open a Team Rocket pack, so I let Corey open one instead to help him feel better after his round 2 game against Rona, and he pulled a Zamazenta Art Rare, which was pretty sweet.
Whoa, what is that?
That's so cool.
That's my phone.
So that left me at 2-0 going into round 3, the final round, and I am paired up against Rona, who has been featured on the channel before. And Rona is a 3-time badge winner at our local GLC League, and is undefeated at 2-0 so far today with her favorite type to play, the Darkness type. The game starts off about as badly as it can for me, as I end up taking 5 mulligans, despite the fact that I have 9 basics in my deck, probably the highest number of basics I've ever played in a deck. Rona even asks the judge to come over after 3 mulligans to give me a basic, but the judge refuses to do so until I hit my 8th mulligan. So a very nice gesture of sportsmanship from Rona there, but I am forced to go all the way, and she gets to draw 5 cards at the start of her turn. I did win the coin flip, so I am going second at least. But Rona is able to put down a Purloin and a Coughing on turn 1, which are 2 of her most important early game Pokemon to set up. And and is now threatening to ability lock me next turn with Coughing in the active with the Galarian Wheezing. I do have an escape rope in my hand, so I do go ahead and fill up my bench with all of my evolving support Pokemon, knowing that I'll be able to turn off the ability lock for one turn next turn. And I do have Octillery and Blastoise and Avery in my hand. So my thinking is I'm hoping to be able to either find Drizzile, Frostmoth, or Rare Candy off of my Octillery and Avery draws to power up an attacker in that one turn that I can break the lock with the escape rope. Now awkwardly, I have to bench Sobble and Snom from my hand without being able to look at my deck to prize check first, but I'm only going to have one turn to use all my abilities with escape rope and draw a bunch of cards with Octillery. So if I draw into the Frostmoth instead of Rare Candy, I need to be able to evolve it immediately, so I need that Snom to be on the bench right away. Rona uses Buddy Buddy Poffin on her next turn to find Zorua and Sneasel, and then has to use Ascension to evolve into Wheezing to shut off my abilities. But I do have the escape rope to push the Wheezing out of the active. I thin down my hand to just the Blastoise and the Avery, and I draw 3 with Octillery's Abyssal Hand ability. Hisuian Heavy Ball then reveals my prizes, which sadly confirms after the Gather the Crew search, confirms too late that the Frostmoth was prized. Even worse is that Guzma is prized as well, which is pretty much my only other card to be able to get Wheezing out of the active spot. Rona sacrifices her Purloin to the Avery, indicating to me that the Liepard is probably prized, but unfortunately I don't draw any of the cards I was hoping to find to be able to power up an attacker, and in fact pretty much every card I drew that turn was useless, being either energy, a supporter, or a recovery card. So my escape rope down, Guzma in the prizes, and no Rain Dance this turn, I need to quickly figure out a plan C to get rid of this Wheezing. So I pivot back into the Basculin and use Gather the Crew to go find Wishy-Washy, which conveniently can KO the Wheezing for 3 energy. But I'm not running Aqua Patch or Counter Energy in this deck, so I'm going to have to survive some poison damage for 2 more turns before I'll be able to attack with it. Rona evolves to Weavile and to the Foul Play Zoroark, the one that can copy attacks, another card that beats Special Waves Wailord but not the Hydro Pump Wailord, and then plays Iono.
No,
why would you do that?
You're doing mind tricks.
Oh, no.
I'm doing it for me though.
And I do my best to communicate how absolutely devastated I am to get out of that hand for a fresh hand of 6, just in case she tries to back out of it. She then plays Letter for 2 energy, attaches to Weavile, and retreats into Wheezing and severe poisons my Basculin. My new hand doesn't have much going on, but at least has some draw supporter options and a ball guy. I attach an energy to Wishy-Washy and decide to Marnie for a new hand, both to find a way to retreat Basculin and get rid of the poison, as well as to shrink Rona's 6-card hand. But I draw Ultra Ball, Brooklet Hill, and 3 energy and have to pass and let Basculin get knocked out by the poison. And now I have a tough choice going into Rona's turn. Do I sacrifice an important Pokemon to poison while I build up Wishy-Washy, or do I send up the useless Snom knowing that it will die immediately? I did briefly consider promoting the Wishy-Washy here, as it could definitely withstand multiple turns of poison, and if Wheezing stayed active, then Wishy-Washy wouldn't shuffle itself back into the deck. But I think my fear was that she would be able to KO Wishy-Washy with Weavile before I could attack with it, from 80 poison damage plus 100 damage for Evil Admonition from Weavile. I guess in hindsight though, that would have broken the ability lock and allowed me to Ultra Ball for Drizzile, to get Irida, to get Rare Candy Blastoise, and then Brooklet Hill for a Kyogre and refill my hand with Octillery, which now really seems like I should have promoted the Wishy-Washy instead of the Snom here. Maybe if I had taken a little more time to think it through, that's probably what I would have done. But I do promote the Snom since I know I'm not going to be able to evolve it into Frostmoth. And Rona burns a level ball and then Cynthia's for a fresh hand of 6 and then takes the KO on the Snom with the severe poison, going down to 4 prizes with a 2-prize lead. I would note that putting a benched Spiritomb to 4 damage counters there is very dangerous against water, which can threaten a free KO with Aqua Bullet from Inteleon. But of course, I'd need Inteleon and Guzma to do that, which are both prized. I send up Sobble this time and attach Splash Energy to the Wishy-Washy. It made sense at the time, but now I'm really regretting not keeping Wash Energy over Splash Energy. I do have Nessa, so I decide to just Ultra Ball away a Water Energy as well as a Brooklet Hill to get the Wartortle out, knowing I can get all the energy back to my hand, and I pass the turn. Rona uses Piers to grab Yveltal and double Turbo Energy, which now gives her a free retreat and threatening the Splash Energy on my Wishy-Washy. She attaches the double Turbo Energy to the Zoroark, which at this point pretty much confirms that her Guzzlord is prized as well. After seeing that I discarded Brooklet Hill, she plays Parallel City to bench lock me and severe poisons the Sobble. Although I actually think it would have been way worse for me if she had not benched the Yveltal and played the Parallel City flipped, which would have reduced my damage by 20, prevented me from taking a clean 1-hit KO on Weezing with the Wishy-Washy. I draw into Drizzile, and at this point I really can't afford to let Rona go down to 3 prizes, so even though I'm still ability locked, I decide to evolve Sobble, both to clear the poison going into next turn, and to give me enough HP to survive another round of severe poison from the Weezing. And hopefully I can find Inteleon from my prizes to evolve my damaged Drizzile later. Rona is able to find Hisuian Heavy Ball with Arven and finally gets her Guzzlord into play, and poisons Drizzile again for 40, leaving it at 10 HP. I draw Kyogre for a turn, but I'm unable to play it due to the Parallel City. I use Nessa to get back Snom and 2 Water Energy, and retreat Drizzile into the now fully powered Wishy-Washy and finally take the knockout on the Weezing to break the ability lock, and I find Guzma off of the prizes. Rona gets back Arven with Versus Seeker to grab Muscle Band and Dark Patch, and thanks to multiple turns of using Building Spite, and not forgetting, and a Muscle Band boost, her Spiritomb is able to hit for exactly 180 damage to take the clean KO on Wishy-Washy, which does come back to my hand thanks to Splash Energy. I'm feeling desperate to keep up with the prize race here, and so I promote Wartortle to take the KO on the Spiritomb with Water Gun for a single energy. But in hindsight, this was not a great move by me, as I sacrificed my Blastoise here and have now turned on Rona's Beast Ring as well. But letting the Spiritomb go completely unanswered just felt really terrible as well. Rona shuffles 3 basic energy back into the deck with Super Rod, plays Hoopa, attaches Darkness Energy, and then plays Colress to shuffle and draw 7 cards. And unfortunately, by going down to 4 prizes, I've now turned on her Beast Ring to turbo out 2 Darkness Energy onto her Guzzlord. But she's still 1 energy short of using Red Banquet, and so has to take the KO on Wartortle with Hoopa instead, putting her at 2 prizes remaining and just a single Guzzlord knockout away from winning. I rescue Scretcher, the Squirtle, and Wartortle back into my deck in a hopeless bid to get them back into play. I look at trying to Guzma trap something to stall, but at this point all of Rona's Pokemon are fully powered up or have free retreat. The only way to buy a turn here is to put Kyogre in front of Guzzlord and hope she doesn't have a Dark Claw. Rona has the escape rope though to force me to switch, but she doesn't have the 4th energy for Guzzlord yet. So I sacrifice my Drizzle to Hoopa and Rona goes down to 1 prize remaining. I attempt to rally something with Kyogre and Frostmoth, and Kyogre uses Wave Summoning to try to power it up, but all Rona needs here is to draw Guzma or Boss to end this game. But she's unable to retreat the Hoopa this time and uses TM Turbo Energize to finish it powering up her Guzzlord on the bench. I continue to thin out my hand, but since Frostmoth can only attach to the bench, I'm still 2 energy away from attacking with Kyogre here, and even if I do, I'm not going to be able to power it up with Frostmoth. Frostmoth's really the backup energy engine in this deck. I really needed to preserve my Blastoise there. I use VS Seeker for Marnie to shrink Rona's large hand. But unfortunately, all that really does is accelerate the inevitable as she draws into the Guzma off of the Marnie and takes the well-earned victory with her Darkness deck, going 3-0. Here's Rona to talk about her deck, which will also be linked in the video description.
Hello. Is that working? Okay.
We're with Rona, who just went 3-0 at the main GLC event in Portland on Saturday with a dark deck. So Rona, do you want to tell us about your dark deck?
Yeah, this is my dark deck post colorless energy and twin energy ban. Basically, I actually never used her, but I added Janine's Secret Art just in case. And it just has kind of the basic basic dark attackers, ability lock with Wheezing, Zoroark that copies with Foul Play. We have, of course, Guzzlord, Moltres, which is great late game. We have Weavile, which punishes your opponent for having Pokemon with too many abilities. The Spiritomb, which continues building. And of course, good old Hoopa, which can, take a knockout as early as your first turn, going second. So, the stadiums I play are Parallel and Devoured Field. And I play a lot of tools to help boost the damage. Because now that double colors is gone, the double turbo kind of takes away 20. So I have Muscle Band, Dark Claw, as well as the Devoured Field to kind of compensate for that, and the Fighting Fury Belt. Which actually, this one helped me a lot today with my second match. This is my deck. I love Dark.
Did you ever get the knockout with Devoured Field?
I did not have to, actually, but I like having it in case. Yeah, it's helped me before. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sun setting, day's over. Another day of a gym leader challenge. Got to play in the side event. Kind of disappointing, honestly, but it was fun. And I got to play 3 rounds, went 2-1. Lost in round, played against another water deck in round 1, but it was a newer player. Then we played Milton's Psychic deck. That was a really good game. Pretty close, but managed to get that one won. And then got ability locked by Rona in round 3 against her dark deck. And just couldn't come back from that. Spent a little too long trying to figure out that the way to break the ability lock was going to be with Wishy Washy and a manual attach. There's my train coming. So all in all, it was fun, and then got to play in an 8-man pod. I went 2-1 in that one, so lost against Milton in the rematch. He got me, and that's going to go up on the channel as well. So thanks everybody for watching. This was fun, but hopefully I can run and catch a strain before it leaves.